Park Do-hun had grease on his hands and a wrench between his teeth when the ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The sudden jolt made him bang his head against the pipe he was fixing. He cursed, pulled himself out from under the atmospheric recycler, and wiped his forehead with an already dirty rag. He was a mechanic. That was all. He fixed things that broke, and on a ship as old as the endless dawn, things broke every single day. He did not ask questions about their mission. He did not wonder why a Corvani ambassador was aboard a human vessel for the first time in 50 years. He just fixed the recycler, the engine coils, the water filtration system, and whatever else decided to fall apart. The ship shook again. Not from travel this time. Something else. Do-hun grabbed his toolbox and walked toward the observation deck. The corridors were empty. Most of the crew was at their stations, probably staring at whatever planet they had arrived at. He should have gone back to work, but something felt wrong. A feeling in his gut that he had learned to trust during his years on mining colonies and broken-down freighters. The observation deck door was open. Inside, he saw the Corvani ambassador standing alone at the window. The alien was tall and thin, with gray skin that looked like stone and eyes that never blinked. His name was Veth. In the 3 weeks since he came aboard, Do-hun had never seen him show any emotion. Now, Veth looked afraid. Do-hun followed the ambassador's gaze to the planet below. Kepler 442c. A dead world of brown rock and frozen dust. Nothing special. Nothing that should make anyone afraid. "You should not be here," Veth said without turning around. His voice was flat and cold, like always. "Neither should you," Do-hun replied. "Observation deck is for crew only." Veth said nothing. He just kept staring at the planet. The intercom crackled. Captain Kim Tae-woo's voice filled the ship. He was a hard man, a veteran of the frontier wars, and he did not waste words. "All senior staff to the bridge. We have arrived at the target location. Mission briefing in 10 minutes. Do-hun was not senior staff. He was barely considered staff at all, but his feet carried him toward the bridge anyway. That feeling in his gut was getting worse. He found a corner near the back of the bridge where no one would notice him. The main view screen showed the planet, and next to it, data streams he did not understand. Captain Tae-woo stood at the center, arms crossed, face serious. 3 months ago, the captain said, our deep space sensors detected an energy signature beneath the surface of this planet. We sent probes. The signature does not match anything in human databases. He paused. It does not match anything in Corvani databases either. Ambassador Veth is here to observe our investigation on behalf of the hegemony. Do-hun looked across the bridge and saw Lee Yuna, the xenoarchaeologist. She was young and smart, with the kind of excited energy that scientists got when they found something impossible. She was almost bouncing on her feet. "How old is the signature?" someone asked. "Based on geological data," Yuna said, "the object has been buried for at least 4 billion years, before any known civilization, before the Corvani, before anything." Silence filled the bridge. 4 billion years. That was older than life on Earth. Do-hun felt cold. "We will send a landing team to investigate," Captain Tae-woo continued. "Dr. Lee will lead the archaeological assessment. Chief Engineer Choi Mireille will handle technical analysis. Security teams will—" The ship's alarm screamed. Red lights flashed. Everyone turned to the view screen. Something was rising from the planet's surface. Something huge. It was a ship. But calling it a ship felt wrong, like calling a mountain a rock. It was kilometers long, black as empty space, covered in patterns that seemed to move when Do-hun looked at them directly. It rose slowly from the ground, shaking off millions of years of dust and stone, and as it climbed, it began to glow. "All hands to battle stations!" Captain Tae-woo shouted. "Wait," Yuna said. Her voice was barely a whisper. Look at where it's pointing. Do-hoon looked. The ancient ship was massive and clearly powerful. Its weapons were charging with energy that made the Endless Dawn's sensors scream warnings. But it was not aiming at them. It was aiming at the ground, at the planet itself. "It's going to destroy the surface," Yuna said. "It's trying to destroy whatever is buried down there." "Why?" Captain Tae-woo demanded. "Why would a ship wait 4 billion years just to destroy something?" "Because we found it." Everyone turned. Ambassador Veth stood at the bridge entrance. His stone face was still afraid, but now there was something else, something that looked like acceptance. "The Corvani have legends," Veth said slowly. "Stories we tell our children to frighten them. Stories about those who came before all others. The architects, we call them. They built wonders that broke the laws of reality. Then overnight they vanished. They left behind only warnings." "Warnings about what?" Yuna asked. "About something they buried, something sleeping, something they were afraid of." Veth's eyes moved to the ancient ship on the view screen. "That ship is a guardian. It was programmed to wait until someone came looking. Then it would destroy everything before the secret could be found." "Then why hasn't it fired yet?" Captain Tae-woo asked. "The weapon is charging. A beam powerful enough to crack a planet takes time." Veth looked at the captain. "You have perhaps 3 hours before it fires. Maybe less." "Then we go down now," Yuna said. Her fear was gone, replaced by determination. "We find whatever is buried before that ship destroys it." "That is exactly what you should not do," Veth said. "The architects buried it for a reason. Some secrets are meant to stay hidden." Captain Tae-woo looked at the ambassador for a long moment. Then he turned to his crew. "Prepare the landing shuttle. Full team. We leave in 20 minutes. Veth's hands tightened into fists. "You are making a mistake." "Maybe," Tae-woo said, "but humans don't run from answers just because the questions are scary." He looked at the ancient ship on the screen, still charging, still aiming at the ground. "If someone went through this much trouble to hide something, I want to know what it is." Do-hoon stayed in his corner, watching as the bridge exploded into activity around him. He was just a mechanic. This was not his problem. He should go back to fixing the recycler, but that feeling in his gut told him his life had just changed forever. He had no idea how right he was. The planet's surface was worse than it looked from orbit. Brown dust that got into everything. Wind that cut through suits like ice. A sky the color of rust that made Do-hoon feel like he was standing inside a wound. He should not have been there. He was a mechanic, not a scientist or a soldier. But 20 minutes into the drilling operation, their main excavation unit had broken down. The lead engineer had panicked, and Yuna had grabbed Do-hoon by the arm and pulled him onto the second shuttle before he could argue. "You fix things," she had said. "Fix this." Now he was lying on frozen ground, half inside a machine worth more than he would earn in 10 lifetimes, trying to figure out why it would not dig. "The motor coupling is cracked," he said. "Someone used the wrong replacement part during the last maintenance cycle. Probably thought it would hold." "Can you fix it?" Yuna asked. She was standing over him, arms crossed, watching the sky. The ancient ship hung above them like a dark moon. Its glow was brighter now. The weapon was still charging. "I can fix anything," Do-hoon said. It was not pride, it was just fact. "But it will take 30 minutes. You have 15. Do-hoon did it in 12. The excavation unit roared back to life and began eating through the frozen rock. Do-hoon stood up, stretched his back, and watched the hole get deeper and deeper. Around him, soldiers kept their weapons ready. Scientists checked their instruments, and Ambassador Veth stood apart from everyone, his stone face showing nothing. Choi Mire walked over to Do-hoon and handed him a water bottle. She was old, gray-haired, and had been his mentor since his first day on the Endless Dawn. She had taught him everything about keeping a ship alive in the void. "Nice work," she said. "Easy job," he replied. "Someone just used the wrong part." Still, most people would have needed an hour. She looked at the hole, which was now deep enough to swallow a building. "Whatever's down there, we're going to find it because of you." Do-hoon did not know if that was good or bad. An hour later, they broke through. The drilling unit punched through solid rock and suddenly found nothing. Empty space where there should have been more stone. Do-hoon looked at the sensors and felt his mind struggle to understand what he was seeing. "There's a hollow chamber down there," Yuna said. Her voice was shaking with excitement. "Miles beneath the surface. And the air inside is—" She checked her readings twice. "Fresh. Breathable. How is that possible?" "It's not," Veth said. "Nothing about this is possible. That is why you should stop." Nobody stopped. They widened the hole and lowered themselves down on cables. Do-hoon went because someone needed to carry the equipment. At least that was what he told himself. The truth was simpler. He had to see. The chamber was vast. Their lights could not find the walls or the ceiling. The floor was smooth, made of something that was not quite metal and not quite stone, and everywhere, covering every surface, were patterns, writing, symbols that seemed to move and shift when Do-hoon looked at them directly. "Same as the ship," Yuna whispered. "The same language. The same builders." They walked forward, following their scanners toward the energy source. Do-hoon's boots made soft sounds on the strange floor. Nobody spoke. The air was warm and tasted like nothing he had ever breathed before. Then they found it. In the center of the chamber stood a machine. It was tall, at least 10 meters, and shaped like nothing Do-hoon could describe. Parts of it looked organic, like the inside of a living creature. Other parts were crystal and light and mathematics made solid. It hummed with energy that he could feel in his bones, and connected to the machine, suspended in a field of soft blue light, was a human skeleton. Do-hoon stopped breathing. The skeleton wore a suit, old, damaged, but clearly human in design. On the shoulder was a patch, a flag, colors that Do-hoon recognized because he had seen them every day of his childhood. The Korean flag. "That's impossible," Mireille said. "Humans have only been in space for 400 years. This chamber has been sealed for 4 billion. Yuna moved closer, her scanner trembling in her hand. She found the skeleton's identification tag, still attached to the suit, still readable despite impossible ages. "Park Do-hoon," she read aloud. "Born 2089, died—" She stopped. "What?" Do-hoon demanded. "Died when?" Yuna looked at him. Her face was pale. "The death date is 2387, 300 years from now." The chamber was silent. Do-hoon looked at the skeleton. He looked at the crooked finger on its right hand, the same finger he had broken as a child and that had never healed correctly. He looked at the scar on its left forearm, the same scar he got from a kitchen accident when he was 8. He was looking at himself. "What is this?" he whispered. Veth stepped forward. For the first time, his voice was not cold. It was sad. "The architects did not just build machines," the ambassador said. "They built bridges, bridges across time. They could see the future, all futures, every possible version of what might happen. And in every future, they saw the same thing." He looked at the darkness beyond their lights. They saw the end, not just of them, not just of us, of everything, all life, all stars, all possibilities, gone. "That's why they buried this place," Yuna said slowly. "They were trying to stop it. They tried. Across millions of timelines, they tried. They always failed." Veth looked at the skeleton, at Do-hoon. In desperation, they searched for hope. They found only one, a species that had not evolved yet, a species that would be stubborn and strange and impossible. Humans. They believed humans might succeed where they had failed. "Why me?" Do-hoon asked. His voice was barely a sound. The machine needed an anchor, a bridge between its alien logic and human understanding. It chose you, not just once. Across every timeline where humans exist, it chose Park Do-hoon. Different versions of you have sat in that machine across billions of years and infinite realities. When one dies, another is pulled from their timeline to continue. Do-hoon felt sick. You're saying that's my future? Being trapped in that thing until I die? That is one future, Veth said. But futures can change. That is the point. He turned to face the whole team. The machine is a beacon. It calls to humanity, guides them here, gives them knowledge they need. The guardianship exists to destroy this beacon before enemies can find it. The Corvani have been hunting this technology for centuries. His eyes met Do-hoon's. I was not sent here as an ambassador. I was sent to make sure this place was destroyed. Some secrets are too dangerous for anyone to have. Behind Do-hoon, he heard the click of a weapon being raised. Mirai had her gun pointed at Veth's head. Her old hands were perfectly steady. I knew something was wrong with you, she said. Above them, through miles of rock, the ancient ship's weapon reached full charge. The gun in Mirai's hand did not shake. She had been a soldier before she became an engineer, back during the frontier wars. She had killed before, and she would kill again if she had to. Move away from the machine, she told Veth. The ambassador did not move. You do not understand what you are protecting. I understand that you lied to us. I understand that you plan to let us die on this planet. Mirai's voice was ice. That's enough for me. Do-hoon barely heard them. He was still staring at the skeleton. At himself. His mind kept trying to reject what his eyes were showing him, but the evidence was too clear. The scar, the finger, the name on the identification tag. Yuna touched his arm. Do-hoon, are you okay? I don't know what okay means anymore. The machine hummed. The blue light around the skeleton pulsed like a heartbeat. And then, without warning, a voice filled the chamber. It came from everywhere and nowhere. It was tired and old and heavy with sadness. And it was Do-hoon's voice. You have to choose now, the voice said. Connect to the machine and see what's coming, or let them destroy it and live in ignorance until the end. Everyone froze. What the hell is that? One of the soldiers asked. It's me, Do-hoon whispered. Another version of me, stored in the machine maybe, or speaking across time. I don't know. He stepped toward the machine. The blue light grew brighter. Do-hoon, wait. Yuna grabbed his hand. We don't know what it will do to you. I know exactly what it will do. It will show me the future. Then it will keep me here until I die, and then it will pull another version of me from another timeline. He looked at his own skeleton, hanging in that field of light. I've done this before, infinite times, across infinite realities. Then don't do it again. We can find another way. There is no other way. Veth's voice was quiet now, defeated. The machine only responds to him. It was designed that way. If you want to know what the architects were afraid of, if you want any chance of fighting what's coming, he has to connect. Mirai kept her gun aimed at the ambassador. Why should we believe anything you say? Because I have nothing left to gain from lying. Veth looked at the ceiling, as if he could see the ancient ship through miles of rock. The Guardian has finished charging. It will fire soon. We will all die here, along with this chamber and everything in it. My mission will be complete, even though I failed to do it myself. How long? Captain Taewoo's voice crackled over the radio. He was still on the shuttle above. How long until it fires? Minutes, Veth said. Perhaps less. Do-hoon made his decision. He pulled his hand free from Yuna's grip and walked toward the machine. The blue light wrapped around him like water. It was warm and cold at the same time. It felt like coming home to a place he had never been. "Do-hun!" Yuna screamed. He touched the machine, and then he was everywhere. He was not in the chamber anymore. He was not anywhere. He was falling through time itself, watching centuries flash past like pages in a book. He saw humanity spread across the stars, building colonies on 1,000 worlds. He saw them grow and learn and become something beautiful. Then he saw them burn. It came from the edges of the universe, not a creature, not a weapon, a void, an absence, a darkness that ate light and matter and possibility itself. It spread slowly at first, swallowing distant galaxies that no one would miss. But it grew faster, always faster, and everywhere it touched, existence simply stopped. He watched civilizations try to fight it. The Corvani sent their greatest fleets. They lasted 3 hours. Other species, ones he had no names for, tried science and magic and weapons that broke reality. Nothing worked. The void ate everything. In the end, there was only darkness, no stars, no life, no memory that anything had ever existed. Do-hun screamed, but he had no mouth to scream with. The vision shifted. He saw the architects, beings of light and thought and mathematics, watching the void consume everything they loved. He felt their desperation, their refusal to accept the end. They searched every timeline for hope. They found only one: humans. Not because humans were strong or smart or powerful. Humans were weak compared to the elder races. Their technology was primitive, their lifespans were short, but humans were stubborn. Humans looked at broken things and refused to believe they could not be fixed. They faced impossible problems and tried anyway. They lost and lost and lost, and then they got up and tried again. The architects saw this quality and did not understand it, but they recognized it as their only hope. They built the beacon. They designed it to call to humanity, to share knowledge across time, to give humans every advantage the architects could provide. And they created the anchor, the connection between the machine's alien logic and human intuition. They chose Do-hun because he was the most human of all. A mechanic, a fixer of broken things, a man who refused to accept that any problem was unsolvable. Do-hun saw himself die 1,000 times. Different timelines, different circumstances, but always the same ending. Connected to the machine, sharing what he knew until his body failed and another version took his place. It was not a punishment. It was a gift. Every Do-hun who died passed on what he had learned. The knowledge accumulated. The chain grew longer, and somewhere, in some timeline he could not see, the chain would be complete. Humans would have everything they needed to face the void. Do-hun woke up on the floor of the chamber. His nose was bleeding. His head felt like it was full of broken glass, but he was alive. Yuna was kneeling beside him. "Do-hun, talk to me!" "I saw it," he whispered. "I saw everything." Above them, the ground shook. The ancient ship had fired, not at full power yet, just a warning shot testing its aim. The next one would destroy everything. "We have to leave," Taewoo's voice shouted over the radio. "Now!" But Veth was gone. Do-hun looked around and saw the ambassador running toward the hole they had dug, climbing toward the surface. "He's going to signal the ship," Mirai said. "Tell them to fire immediately." Yuna helped Do-hun stand. "What did you see? How do we stop what's coming?" Do-hun laughed. It hurt. Everything hurt. "We don't stop it," he said. "We were never meant to. We just have to build the first link in the chain. We have to make sure the knowledge survives." He looked at the machine, at his skeleton still hanging in the light. "And I know how to do it." Do-hun's hands moved without his permission. They reached for the machine, finding panels he did not know existed, pressing symbols he should not have understood. The knowledge from his vision was fading fast, like a dream after waking, but his body remembered what his mind was losing. "What are you doing?" Yuna asked. The machine isn't just a beacon, Do-hoon said. It's a library. Everything the architects knew, everything they learned across billions of years, it's all stored in here. I can't move the machine. I can't save this chamber, but I can take the core. His fingers found a hidden seam in the machine's surface. Light poured out, warm and golden. Inside was something beautiful, a crystal sphere, no bigger than a human heart, pulsing with soft colors that seemed to contain entire galaxies. This is it, Do-hoon whispered. This is everything. The ground shook again, harder this time. Dust fell from the ceiling and cracks appeared in the ancient walls. The ship is firing ranging shots, Mireille said. Getting its aim perfect before the final blast. We have maybe 5 minutes. Taewoo's voice crackled over the radio. Shuttle is ready. Get up here now. Do-hoon carefully removed the core from the machine. The moment he did, the blue light around his skeleton flickered and died. The bones collapsed, finally released after who knew how many years of waiting. Goodbye, Do-hoon thought. Rest now. They ran for the exit. The soldiers went first, then Yuna carrying the core, then Do-hoon and Mireille at the back. The cables they had used to climb down were still there, swinging from the hole they had drilled. Yuna went up first. Do-hoon helped Mireille onto the cable, then grabbed the next one. Do-hoon, Mireille said. She was halfway up, looking down at him. Whatever happens next, I'm proud of you. You know that, right? Don't talk like you're saying goodbye. I'm not. I'm just making sure you know. They climbed. The walls of the drill hole shook around them. Rocks fell, bouncing off their suits, leaving bruises that would hurt later if there was a later. Do-hoon's arms burned, but he kept climbing. He reached the surface just as the sky turned white. The ancient ship fired its main weapon. A beam of pure energy, brighter than any sun, slammed into the planet's surface 5 kilometers away. The ground jumped. A wall of dust and fire rushed toward them, blocking out the rust-colored sky. Into the shuttle! Taewoo screamed. They ran. Do-hoon had never run so fast in his life. The shuttle's door was open, soldiers dragging people inside as fast as they could. Yuna was already in. The core clutched against her chest. Mireille was right behind him. Do-hoon's foot caught on a rock. He fell. The wall of destruction was 100 meters away. 50, 20. Mireille grabbed his arm and threw him toward the shuttle door. Hands caught him, pulled him inside. The door slammed shut just as the blast wave hit. The shuttle flew backward, tumbling through the air, alarms screaming. Do-hoon hit the wall, the ceiling, the floor. Everything was chaos and noise and pain. Then the pilot did something impossible with the controls, and suddenly they were climbing, tearing through the atmosphere, leaving the devastation behind. Is everyone alive? Taewoo demanded. Voices answered, scared but breathing. Do-hoon counted. Everyone was there. Even Veth, unconscious in a corner, bleeding from his head where someone had knocked him out. He didn't get his signal off, one of the soldiers said. We caught him before he could reach his communicator. The shuttle reached orbit. Through the windows, Do-hoon could see the ancient ship, still firing at the planet below. The surface was cracking now, continents splitting apart, oceans of magma bursting through the wounds. It's destroying everything, Yuna whispered, making sure nothing survives. Not everything. Do-hoon looked at the core in her hands. We have what matters. The endless dawn was waiting for them. Damaged from flying too close to the ancient ship, but still alive. They docked, transferred to the main ship, and immediately jumped to faster-than-light travel. Behind them, the ancient Guardian finished its work. The planet that had kept its secret for 4 billion years broke apart and died. Hours later, Do-hoon sat alone in his repair bay. The core rested on his workbench, glowing softly. He could feel it calling to him, offering more knowledge, more visions. He did not touch it. Yuna found him there. The captain wants to know what we do next, she said. Where do we take this thing? Who do we show it to? Everyone, Do-hoon said. We show it to everyone. Humans, Corvani, every species that will listen. The void is coming. Not tomorrow, not next year, maybe not for thousands of years. But it's coming. And the only way to survive is if we all work together. The Corvani won't help. Veth said they've been trying to destroy this technology for centuries. Then we make them help. We share the knowledge freely. We give everyone the same chance. Dohun finally looked at her. His eyes were tired but clear. That's what the architects wanted. That's why they chose humans. Not because we're strong, because we're stubborn enough to try the impossible and stupid enough to believe it might work. Yuna sat down across from him. What did you see in there, in the machine? You said you saw everything. Dohun was quiet for a long time. I saw the end, he said finally. Every timeline, every possibility, it all ends the same way. The void eats everything. Stars, planets, life, hope, all of it gone. Then what's the point? If we can't win? I didn't say we can't win. I said we haven't won yet. There's a difference. He picked up the core, held it gently. The architects built this because they believed in us. They searched infinite timelines and found one species crazy enough to face the impossible. They gave everything to make sure we had a chance. A chance, not a guarantee. No, never a guarantee. But that's enough, isn't it? Dohun smiled. It was a small smile, tired and sad, but real. A chance is all anyone ever gets. What matters is what you do with it. The core pulsed in his hands, warm and alive with ancient hope. Somewhere across the galaxy, the void crept closer. The darkness grew. The end waited. But so did humanity. Stubborn, strange, impossible humanity. And Park Dohun, a mechanic who fixed broken things, was going to give them the tools they needed. 8 months after the Endless Dawn returned to human space, Dohun stood before the United Planetary Council. Humans, Corvani, and a dozen other species filled the Great Hall. All of them had come to hear what the mechanic had to say. The Corvani ambassador, a replacement for Veth, who now sat in a prison cell, had demanded the core be destroyed. Too dangerous, he said. Too powerful for any single species to control. Dohun agreed. That was why he was giving it to everyone. The architects did not build this for one race, Dohun said. His voice echoed through the hall. They built it for all life. The void does not care if you are human or Corvani or anything else. When it comes, it will eat everything equally. So we fight together, or we die alone. He placed the core in the center of the council chamber. Its light filled the room, and suddenly, every being present could see what Dohun had seen. The void, the end, the darkness that waited for them all. When the vision ended, no one argued anymore. The work began. Years passed. Dohun watched humanity change. The core's knowledge spread across every world, every station, every ship. Scientists who had spent their careers competing now worked together. Engineers from species that had been enemies for centuries shared their secrets. It was not easy. There were fights, betrayals, setbacks. Some species refused to believe. Others tried to use the knowledge for their own power. But slowly, painfully, the alliance grew. Dohun did not lead. He was not a leader. He was a mechanic. He fixed problems, solved disputes, and reminded people why they were fighting. When the Corvani wanted to give up, he showed them hope. When the humans wanted to rush ahead alone, he showed them patience. And always, the core called to him. Every night he felt its pull. The machine wanted him back. It wanted to show him more, teach him more, use him until he had nothing left to give. He resisted. He had given enough. Let someone else carry the burden now. 20 years after the discovery, the first warning signs appeared. A distant galaxy went dark. Not slowly, like a star dying. All at once, like a candle being blown out. The void had begun to move. 50 years later, it was at the edge of known space. The Alliance had built weapons, ships, technologies that would have seemed like magic to the humans who first crawled out of Earth's gravity. But no one knew if it would be enough. Do-hun was old now. His hair was white, his hands were slow, his body was tired. But he still worked every day, still fixed things, still refused to give up. Mireille found him in his workshop one morning. She was older too, ancient by human standards, but her eyes were still sharp. "The fleet is ready," she said. 12,000 ships from 30 species, the largest force ever assembled in the history of the galaxy. Is it enough? We'll find out. She sat down across from him, the same way she had done for decades. "The core is asking for you again." Do-hun had felt it. The pull was stronger now, desperate. The machine knew what was coming. It wanted to give him one last vision, one last piece of knowledge that might make the difference. "I'm too old," he said. "My heart would stop before I saw anything useful." Maybe. Maybe not. Mireille leaned forward. "Do-hun, you've spent your whole life fixing things. Ships, machines, alliances, hope. But there's one thing you've never fixed." "What's that?" "The machine itself. The architects built it to use people up, to drain them until they died. But you're a mechanic. You don't accept broken systems. You repair them." Do-hun looked at the core on his workbench. It pulsed with soft light, waiting. "You want me to fix an alien machine built by beings who transcended time itself?" "I want you to try." Mireille smiled, the same smile she had given him on his first day as her student. "That's what humans do, isn't it? We try impossible things and somehow make them work." Do-hun picked up the core. It was warm in his old hands. He could feel the machine reaching for him, trying to connect, trying to pull him in. Instead, he pushed back. He did not try to see visions or receive knowledge. He looked at the machine the way he looked at any broken system. He found the parts that did not fit, the connections that wasted energy, the designs that made no sense, and one by one he began to fix them. The architects were brilliant, but they were not mechanics. They built things to work, not to last. Do-hun found inefficiencies that had been there for billions of years. He found loops that drained the anchor instead of supporting them. He found a design philosophy that treated users as tools instead of partners. He fixed it all. When he finished, the core's light had changed. It was brighter now, softer, welcoming instead of demanding. And when Do-hun touched it again, he did not feel it trying to consume him. He felt it asking permission. "Show me," he whispered. The vision came. Not painful this time, not overwhelming, clear and calm like watching a recording. He saw the fleet engage the void. He saw weapons that worked, technologies that pushed back the darkness. He saw the moment when the void, for the first time in infinite timelines, stopped advancing. But he also saw the cost. Ships destroyed, lives lost. Sacrifices that would break hearts across 1,000 worlds. And he saw one more thing, one crucial detail that no one else knew. The void was not a natural phenomenon. It was a wound. Reality itself had been damaged long ago, and the void was the infection spreading from that wound. The architects had tried to destroy the infection. They had failed because destruction was the wrong answer. The wound needed to be healed. Do-hun opened his eyes. Mireille was still there, watching him with concern. "I know what to do," he said. The battle began 3 days later. Do-hun watched from the flagship as 12,000 ships flew toward the darkness. Beams of energy, weapons designed from architect knowledge, carved into the void. For the first time, the darkness bled, but it was not enough. The void pushed back. Ships died. The line began to break. Do-hun walked to the center of the flagship's bridge. He was carrying the core in his hands. Yuna, who had become the Alliance's lead scientist, tried to stop him. "You're too old," she said. "Your heart." My heart is exactly what this needs." Do-hun smiled at her. He had fixed her first excavation unit 60 years ago. Now she had gray in her hair and children who commanded their own ships. "The architects chose me because I fixed things. Now I'm going to fix reality itself." He connected to the core. But this time, instead of receiving visions, he sent them. He pushed his entire life into the machine. Every repair he had ever made, every problem he had ever solved, every stubborn refusal to accept that something could not be fixed. The core amplified his thoughts and broadcast them across the fleet. Every engineer, every scientist, every mechanic in the Alliance suddenly understood what Do-hun understood. The void was not an enemy to be destroyed. It was a wound to be healed. 12,000 ships changed their approach. Instead of weapons, they deployed repair drones. Instead of destruction, they wove new reality into the gaps where old reality had died. It was impossible. It was insane. It was exactly the kind of thing only humans would try. And it worked. The void stopped spreading. Then, slowly, it began to shrink. The wound in reality started to heal, fed by the combined will of 30 species who refused to accept the end. Do-hun fell. His heart, old and tired, had given everything it had. Mireille caught him before he hit the ground. "Did we do it?" he whispered. Through the flagship's windows, he could see the void retreating. Stars that had been dark were coming back. Life was returning to places where death had ruled. "We did it," Mireille said. Tears were running down her ancient face. "You fixed the universe, you stubborn old fool." Do-hun laughed. It hurt, but it was worth it. "I'm a mechanic," he said. "That's what we do." He closed his eyes. The last thing he felt was the core's light, warm and grateful, finally letting him rest. Centuries later, children across 1,000 worlds learned the story of the mechanic who fixed reality. They learned that the universe was once broken, and a stubborn human refused to accept that it could not be repaired. They learned that hope was not about knowing you would win. It was about trying anyway. And in the heart of the rebuilt galaxy, in a museum dedicated to those who had saved everything, the core sat in a place of honor. It still glowed softly, waiting for the day when someone else might need to fix the impossible. But that day never came. Because humans, stubborn and strange and impossible humans, had finally made sure the universe would last forever. All because a mechanic refused to give up.